My fearless friends, coming to you with my second very special episode this time of the year and trying to contain my excitement as best as I can. I was just telling my amazing colleagues and my wonderful mentor that are here with me today on this really special episode that I could literally jump up and down like a kid. And I have pretty much recently discovered this about me, that I am such an enthusiastic person, that I'm so happy and high with life. And the truth is that I wasn't like this since quite a while, since I have began to publicly share my story. Things have beyond shifted for me. And I know that you are pretty much aware that I am a part of the amazing co-authoring project, the Imperfectly Perfect campaign book series for almost 2 months now. I know that you may have been wondering, why is she blasting about this project nonstop? Is she ever sleeping? Well, I do my best to sleep again because of all the excitement, because my fearless friends, before I get to introduce you to my amazing mentor, which you probably know from me sharing so much about him and about this amazing organization, Imperfectly Perfect campaign, and two of my colleagues from the book, co-authors in this amazing and fascinating project, I have got to say that each day is pretty much a new healing level for me. I wake up, things are great. I am doing my best to stick to a productive routine because there's much to do with a 3-year-old around me all the time. But I never know how many breakthroughs I am experiencing that day, because the amount of healing that I have been so blessed to experience for these past few weeks just amazes me each day. I have no idea who I am anymore in the best way possible, because I have had this really divine chance to uncover so many of undealt with emotions, trauma, unspoken feelings, unspoken emotions for such a long time. And what makes it so unique is that it's public. I've done so much coaching and so much mentoring throughout the years, but nothing compares to the intensity and the depth of the healing that I'm feeling now, because I have been also focusing on leaving a legacy of sharing as many lessons as I could and wisdom from everything that has happened to me. And it's just amazing to know that many people, so many people, will get to have their eyes, their hands on this amazing book. Okay, and I promised my colleagues and my mentor that I will be not talking too much today because of all the excitement, but I guess it's not working today. Anyway, it's 11 p.m. here in Romania. Thanking Glenn Marsden for being here with us. It's 6 a.m. in Australia. It's 9 p.m. for my amazing colleague, Claire Smith, and it's 2 p.m. for Michelle Lange in the US. Very grateful, very privileged to have here with me such amazing individuals creating such a beautiful and such a sacred, safe place, because the Imperfectly Perfect campaign has created this beautiful, safe, sacred space where we can share our stories. Just a bit about my colleagues, and I promise it's the end of the introduction. My amazing spiritual mentor, and when I say my, I cannot believe how privileged and how blessed I am, doing my best to keep my composure, because I get so emotional when I talk to him. It's like I kind of get to crying every time I'm in touch with him, because he is the one that has saved my life, saved my mind in ways that I would have never thought that this would happen in this time during this period of my life. Glenn Marsden is the leader, the creator, the person who has built the Imperfectly Perfect campaign as being the world's fastest growing mental health organization with more than 500 big names attached to this amazing campaign, because they all believe in the mission that was placed on Glenn's heart. And this is removing the stigma around mental health. Glenn encourages sharing our stories. The Imperfectly Perfect campaign is about us accepting who we are. We are just so uniquely amazing in our imperfections that if we share our stories, if we start to talk about our feelings, we get to this level of awareness, of acceptance, and life can really be amazing. And again, me being able to share my story in this beautiful co-authoring project has given me so much healing that it's difficult to express in words. Well, you may say, well, she's talking for a few minutes now. How is it difficult to express? Well, I would be talking for a few extra hours, but telling you a bit about this wonderful person, Claire, that is sharing her story with us in the Imperfectly Perfect campaign book series. Claire is a fitness instructor with over 2 decades of expertise, where the aim is to help people feel good from the inside out through group exercise classes. Claire had fallen out of love with the highlights and reels on social media and discovered the Imperfectly Perfect campaign. Beautiful, and I cannot wait for you to meet Claire in just a few seconds. And we have as well Michelle Lange with us today, such a beautiful person inside out. She is a soul, heart-centered, people-oriented, etheric artist and ghostwriter, where the gift of light is shared to create abundance. Michelle is and always will be an advocate for those around her as she shares her passion for life and living with purposeful intention to see the journey in the timeline of now. You know, just reading these beautiful biographies got my mind to think to so many questions, but we only have a short amount of time, which again, apologies, but I'm just so thrilled, so excited, so ecstatic to be here with these amazing people. Glenn, Claire, and Michelle, welcome, and thank you for putting up with this longer introduction.
Thank you, Fabian.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Very privileged to have you guys here. And I would love to start our conversation today by asking Glenn, what would you say inspired you, Glenn, to start this divine project with a book series?
Ooh, great question. So one of the biggest things with Imperfectly Perfect campaign is every time I've been fortunate enough to go on media, on TV shows, one of the big things the media pertain it to be is the celebrity campaign. However, when I'm addressed with that question, it is always, if people take a look at the IPC, there's public figures from, yes, celebrities, because media pertain anyone in entertainment to be called a celebrity. However, there's corporate leaders in there, the personal development world. There's leading scientists, neuroscientists. There's every single industry, every single demographic. However, what that does is draw people's attention towards the actual mission. And when people come towards the mission, they will see there's community initiatives with the public, there's community videos, people getting the apparel, spreading the awareness. There's actually a community podcast in the background, which Rachel Newsham was the host of that with myself. So there's people who are getting to share their stories in all different manners. Now, what does the book do? It ties that in perfectly to unison. We've got several of the world's biggest names who are writing their stories. We've got several of the public writing their stories all together. And the only difference is a title or a profession, not the human experience. We all go through the same thing. So as a collective, my hope for the book series is to show that nobody is different. A title or profession doesn't make us who we are as a person on the inside. Claire's story could resonate with somebody who everyone recognizes off TV. Michelle, what she went through, again, one of the public figures could have very well been through. So it just ties everything in perfectly. So Volume 1 is kicked off. It's getting bigger by the day, which I'm very grateful for. And you're meeting two amazing ladies right here now.
Beautifully said, Glenn. Thank you for sharing. And I love it how you mentioned this word of belonging, because at the end of the day, you are so right. Michelle's story or Claire's story or your story as well, Glenn, they could be very much be pretty similar to a celebrity's or someone out there that was really waiting to hear this word of encouragement that, look, this lady was struggling so hard, but look at her now, she's thriving. And what makes it so special, because, you know, Glenn and Michelle and Claire, I've been sharing parts of my story throughout the years, a few years ago on different podcasts as I was invited, and it wasn't this impactful. The fact that we are actually taking time to write things down makes it so obvious that we are finally processing things at a whole new level. So I want to ask you, Claire, first, how do you feel when you think that this story of yours is going to be in the hands of so many people in a short amount of time?
It's incredible. It's mind-blowing, really, to imagine, you know, to think that someone might pick up my story and resonate with it in any kind of way. And that's really why I stepped forward. I try to impact the people that I see on a daily basis in a positive way, but to be able to take it to a higher platform or a wider audience, it's going to make me really, really, really proud. And you know, Glenn's talked a lot as well. It's this legacy. You know, I've got books everywhere. I'm a real bookworm, and I just think I can be long gone, and someone can still pick that book up and still find something in it. And I feel like in my story, there's bits that anybody and everyone can relate to. You know, it's certain bits are specific for me, but I think anyone can pick it up, and we all have good days, bad days, and just knowing that you're not alone, and we all feel a certain way, and being able to talk about these things, and bring that awareness to mental health. And it's mental health, fitness health, it's all health, it's all the same thing, and there shouldn't be a stigma around any of it.
I love it, Claire. Thank you for sharing that. And just a quick extra question for you, because I know that you mentioned in your biography that you were not happy with who you are, with who you were, with your body, with what happened to you. Would you say that this has changed since you began to write in the story and process everything?
Oh, most definitely. Like you said in the introduction, I feel like a different person, and I'm excited about life. I'm excited to help more people. I almost picture myself being right at the top of a hill and looking down and seeing all of them, recognizing all that journey, you know, through faith, why it had to happen. And at the time, you don't understand why things are happening, but it's not until you get to yourself to that point where you understand why things had to happen, and you wouldn't change it, because you wouldn't be who you are if you hadn't gone through them experiences. And having awareness has been a huge thing for me. Yeah, that's been one of the biggest things I've really overcome, and truly learned to accept myself and love myself for who I am.
Wow. This is deep. Thank you, Claire, for sharing. And
Welcome.
Michelle, how was it for you, my dear, to have your story out there? How do you feel when you know that people are going to have their breakthroughs while they read your life story?
I think because of the stage of life that I'm talking about and the experiences I'm talking about, there are going to be a lot of people who will resonate with the story. And I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity, because going through cancer diagnosis and treatment as a single parent, or just as a human being, it touches your life, it touches your family's life. And to know that there is a possibility that you can get through it, and there is a way to get through that, to get through the fear. There is a deep fear behind the word, the phrase, I've got cancer. And people need to know that you don't have to be afraid of that diagnosis and that word, and that there is a way to shift yourself through that experience with positivity, and that there are possibilities, and that when you choose positive feelings, evaluations of life, and living for now, that it shifts your entire perspective and possibilities open up. I'm sitting here because of what I chose to think about cancer, and I truly believe that we need to shift how we think about cancer, especially initially when you're diagnosed. Most people are very, very afraid. For me, it was very different, because I decided that it wasn't a death sentence. It was an opportunity for me to create possibilities of living life fully, despite the fact that I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So I'm excited that someone will be able to pick up a book, and if they happen to have cancer, that they can read the story and say, you know what, I have possibilities. There will be an energy flow, there will be a influx of emotion that is positive and warm, and it will help them to keep moving forward one step at a time.
Wow. This is so beautiful, Michelle, and I've got to say that I admire you so much. You are so strong, and you have so much passion and force for life, as you just so wonderfully put it in the introduction. And I actually wanted to ask you, you got me so curious. How do you live in the now?
Well, I think once you have, I don't think it takes a serious diagnosis for you to decide how to get present to life. I think for me, some things, there's a phrase, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, some things don't matter as much when you go through something serious, but I think that you don't have to wait for the serious stuff to decide that today I'm going to I'm going to worry less. I'm going to look at what's in front of me. Like, for example, you see something, like for you, here's an example for you. When I see that you're excited and exuberant and passionate about what you're doing, for me to get present to that experience on your behalf means that I'm enjoying and appreciating this moment. I'm not sitting here thinking, I've got the laundry to do, I've got to go cook dinner. Boy, I wish we could hurry up and go do something else. To be present to the now is taking a hold of the moment, enjoy the feeling, the learning, the emotions that go with it, and have joy and gratitude. By having joy and gratitude, you extend above your vibration level to increase harmoniously a new energy level, and it can shift you through to it's almost like having some energy on reserve, so that when there are challenging moments, which there will be, you know how to shift from a negative to a positive. You don't stay there very long. You understand that there is an energy flow about you and within you that you can choose to enhance or get stuck in. So for me, being present now means taking notice of those little things, those big things, those things that need my energy and flow, and deciding who's going to be in that moment with me. Otherwise, if I'm not in the now, that means I'm too worried about yesterday, or I'm thinking about what's in the future and I'm not present to what's in front of me. I may miss something very important, about family or a friend. Like, if I wasn't present to you and noticing and seeing your enthusiasm, then I missed a moment for your energy to enhance mine, which is what that's really all about, is sharing an energy exchange amongst each other, where being present to you, I get the opportunity to be uplifted and feel grateful and enthusiastic just as you are, and go, yeah, that's really, wow, I like how that feels, I like how that looks. And then my heart is full and my energy bucket is filling up too. And then I can go about, because of your example, get present in a way in my own life and say, you know what, this is great. I'm going to get excited about, a new painting, or I'm going to go get excited about, I just finished. And you see, in my life, that's what happens too, is I may be working on a writing project, and I'll write a really great paragraph and I'll sit there and I'll go, yes, I love this, I love this. Or I'm working on a piece of art, and I have this experience, emotional, mental, metaphysical feeling. And if I'm not present to that, I'm going to miss it. It's going to be gone. 1 minute from now, if I didn't appreciate that feeling and that sensation, it's gone. I can never get it back.
This is brilliant, Michelle. Oh my God, I applaud this definition of the present moment for you, because this is something that I've never heard before. This beautiful exchange of energy, you feeling my enthusiasm, and we're just connecting in this beautiful way. I love this. It's so refreshing to see that you are more than a survivor. You are someone that thrives each and every single day for the mere fact that you are present, you are choosing the present moment. And I was thinking, when you mentioned gratitude, that I sometimes get too caught up in life, in everything that's going on. So I need to slow down. And as I was talking to Glenn earlier, we are having many things going on, and sometimes we just need to maybe enjoy what we have now. And now it's up for you, Glenn, to tell us, how was writing your story? How was it for you? And I know that you are the person, you are the leader behind this phenomenal project. Okay, I'm getting excited again. But you also went through quite some things. You've had quite some experiences that you had to process yourself as well. So how was it for you?
It's always a cathartic thing when you write things down, and which is why when I work with people, whether the amazing co-authors or clients that I do work with, it's amazing how people say, why do you get us to write things down? Or why do you put us through challenges where we have to face things and we end up crying? So I've got an ability to make people cry for the good way. And let me just tell you, every time Michelle speaks, she has got a way, and it is this energy exchange, because I can end up with tears in my eyes listening to somebody, the way that you can end up with tears when I speak and tell you something, and the way that Claire can, and it affects somebody else. That's being present, exactly like Michelle said. So when I was writing my story, I was putting myself in a position where even to last week, thoughts were coming up around things that I'd held on to and I had to let go. And I always say this book is a testimony to God. I was never brought up around faith or anything, but the way that it's worked and come to me, everything isn't by coincidence. I was in group fitness, for many years. Oh, look, Claire comes along, who's in group fitness. There's a connection there. She's an empath and she's compassionate. Michelle, we met over 4 years ago on a platform where people are so fleeting and they're not in the present, because it's just like looking over, looking through. Except we met on a networking group, and there was an exchange between us, and we built an incredible friendship for, what, 4 years now?
Yeah,
And it's
4
one of
years.
the most beautiful relationships, with encouragement, that when she went through a treatment, we was there chatting to each other. She's been there for me. So all of this has played into me writing my story and realizing all these synergetic experiences that have happened along my way. So it's a cathartic process. And that's why I like to tell people, write things down. It's amazing. Your words can have a profound effect on someone else, but they can also show you patterns that you have allowed yourself to get into each and every time. And unless you start breaking those and healing them, it's a lot harder to move forward. And we often see, obviously, through all these social platforms, I love what Michelle says when she spoke about being in the present, because people often don't listen to people, which means they're not being present. And I think we've come so far away because we're indoctrinated into a society where everything's go, go, go. And everyone sees success and sees fame and sees money and think that's the way it should be. However, leading by your imperfections, dropping mass, allows you to meet incredible people like we see here today, 21 co-authors, that we remove the external stuff, the titles, the professions, everyone's wrote the story, and you can see each other in there, which builds a connection between each other. And then you're like, hold on a minute, money's fleeting. Fame, the thing that I've got to know about fame through knowing people in that industry is, could you really handle it? When you get backlash, when you get this, everyone sees it thinking that's the ultimate and makes judgment on someone else's life. However, when you understand someone's story, you go, I don't actually think I could go through that. Like, really, if I went through some of the stuff that Michelle went through, I don't think I could handle it. What Claire went through and what she did to herself internally, I don't know if I could go through that. So it makes us really appreciate people for who they are, to create a connection. And then if people don't resonate it, they might resonate with somebody else. So I think in a world where we try to control things because of what we've seen, we're forgetting the whole human experience is to make memories and connect with people like this. And storytelling, as we know, is the oldest form of communication. We grow up listening to stories. So why can't we, exactly like Claire said, leave a legacy where I'm gone? Somebody's going to pick that up years later and go, oh my God. So cathartic for me.
Wow. I can say the same thing, Glenn. Thank you for sharing. It has been beyond healing. I am lost for words and I can talk. I have my words with me almost all the time, because what I've noticed is that the relationships that I have with the people around me have morphed into something that I am admiring. I am more and more proud of myself. As Michelle mentioned the word proud, and I'm so happy that you said that, Michelle. So proud how I'm keeping my ego under control, because this was a severe issue for me. And if it were not for Glenn's help and mentoring, last year in July, a year and 1 month ago, when we did that humbling exercise that changed my life completely, and now with having my story out, the cherry on top of my personal development, of my growth, I am a bit terrified if I think that my narcissistic behavior became so toxic and so destructive for me, for my family, for the relationship that I was trying to build and survive in with my husband, because it was really tough. It was a struggle. And you mentioned challenges, Glenn. Were there any challenges, any struggles when you actually wrote the story? And if yes, how did you overcome them?
I think because I've been doing this for a while now, I think the challenge for me at the time was stepping up front. So one of my biggest things for several years whilst doing it, I always had this thing as I didn't want to put myself to the front, because I disassociated with a lot of people that tended to do mental health things, and it was always about them. It was always about their story. It was constantly like that. So I understood it. I felt sorry for them. I appreciated what they was doing, but it was almost a sense of just going, okay, we've heard it. We've heard it. It's constant. What about other people's stories? So for a long time, it was pushing everybody else to the front. So I got lost in the background. So the biggest challenge for me was to step forward and be seen and be heard, so people knew who the person was behind this, to drive it, to make it sustainable, and then to get to this space where then I could lead and bring other people along. And the funny thing is, I look at all 21 co-authors and we are so alike. We've all walked the same journey in putting people to the front and us far behind. So the challenge has been pushing ourselves to the front. And now I've done it and I've got there, and it's helping other people realize their worth. And I think when we always think of a purpose, what our purpose is, it's funny how we replay it in our mind and we think a certain thing may be our purpose, and then we go, that's it, I know my purpose. So I went through this thing going, well, mine's clearly mental health awareness to do this, except everyone can look at how the podcast has evolved and the campaign's evolved, and it's almost gone through this whole 180, so to speak. It's still got the underlying issues of mental health and bringing it, but a lot more faith-based, and everyone who's been drawn to it has gone through adversity, gained wisdom, blessing to share their story, and they don't know how to see themselves for themselves. So a lot of people always have that. I never knew how to see myself for myself and the power that I held within me until I found faith. Michelle, the same. Claire, always pushing other people to the front. Michelle with Unsung Heroes, which is another thing she used to write about, people pushing other people to the front. Claire, she's on stage. She might be on stage, but she's making other people feel good. Yourself, you're constantly on podcasts. You're what's the word? Bigging other people up. And it's almost we get lost. And it's like, those guys are great. They're empaths, they're compassionate, but you put yourself in a box, whereas your voice gets lost in all that mess. So the challenge was, throughout it all, is accepting who you are, bringing it to fruition, and just not fearing judgment, not fearing being seen, not fearing being heard, because at the end of the day, you're going to realize who your people are. I brought 21 people together who's in this book, who now know that they can celebrate when each other gets a job, success. They can equally celebrate each other or encourage each other when they're at the depth of despair. Like if someone reaches out to me, it takes 2 seconds. Michelle said it earlier. If you pick up on someone's energy, she messaged me, for example, the other day, said she was feeling a little bit self-doubt. It took all of what, 5 minutes to talk and push someone's buttons in terms of energy exchange and encouragement. And then she was going off on one. It was like she took my pre-workout. Like, and she does that for other people. And Claire, like, will send voice notes. And I think if you are going to do something and you truly care about people, you're going to be present with them, because you can't elevate anybody. And it's like my experiences have taught me one thing. God has brought me people along my journey to keep me going, because there's times on our journey, life can be shit. It really can be shit, excuse my language. And if you don't have the right people supporting you, and whether people say this entrepreneurial journey, this solopreneur journey, it gets lonely. You are racking your brain out and you're seeing everyone highlight the best parts, like 7, 8 figures a month, this, that, the other. And you're like, how are they all doing it? And I'm not doing it. You need the right people to you. And the only way you're going to get the right people to you is overcoming the challenges of letting your voice be heard and you be seen for you. Because if you're masking it, you might attract people, but you're attracting the wrong people. And then you're going to have to keep up a lie. Why? Be your quirky self, share your imperfections, and people will see you and your heart. And the main thing is, if we talk about God, God sees people's heart. That's why he does things in people's life. He doesn't care what you can't leave this world with all the shit that you. So I think people have just got it so backwards that we need to really bring it back to connection.
Wow. Wow. This is just amazing, Glenn. Thank you for sharing. And I can so resonate with what you said. And I guess you're thinking, Glenn, wow, she kind of resonates with everything. You know, I always tell you, wow, you're right. Wow, this just makes so much sense. I'm just so enjoying this. I have another breakthrough because you just speak to us. And of course, no wonder you got us all in this beautiful, heartfelt, divine project of the souls, project of the hearts, because we are so much alike. And one of my mantra these days is put yourself first. And if my family would hear about this, if my husband's family would hear about this, me having a 3-year-old, where the Romanian version of the woman of the wife would be to, you know, cook and be there for your children and not do anything for you, not until they're grown up. they would go bananas. But I'm just so loving this. Put yourself first. And as you said, Glenn, we are just losing our voices because of all the noise around us that we just allow it to happen. Because let's face it, it's up to us to nurture ourselves first, more than anything. I know
just say, so I just wanted to really explain that really quickly, in that when it's putting ourselves first, I might be saying something that people resonate with. And like you said, you're so right. And you say that quite a lot. But I want to reiterate, the whole point of it is it might resonate with you, but it's got to feel within you. When we see coaches, when we see mentors, when we see people are faith-based as well, there are a lot of people who like to exude that they know everything that's going on in life. I would never want to do that. And I don't want anybody I work with to do that to other people, because we're all on our own journey. My experience, yes, human experiences, we go through a lot of the same thing, but it's completely different for each person. So if I say something and it resonates with you, that's great. However, don't lose your power, which means you're not tapping into your intuitive nature yourself to go, how does this feel with me? How does it sit? Am I going to do it? And when people try and teach people things, like, we know some people aren't that very good on social media. So people are going, you need to do this, 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 and this, and this. However, if it doesn't feel right for you, that energetic frequency is not going to be aligned. So you're not going to get it done, and it's not going to work, which is why I can give advice and I put it on the co-authors group. This is what I would do. How does it feel for you? You should never put yourself in a position where you're an expert and this is the way, because claiming you're an expert in something is showing that you've got no room for growth. And it's where I've got to in life. And am I perfect? By no means. Have I probably gone in the past and said, oh, you need to do this, this, and this? But this is the whole thing about IPC. If you're not leading by imperfections, you can't be humbled and pull yourself up on your shit that you've said in the past. Then how can you grow? And people are quick to judge and say, oh, well, people said this or they did this in the past. Okay, so you expect people to forgive you and move on, but they can't. Like, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world, which is where we need to come back and we've got, okay, people have made mistakes. People have said this, people have said that, but don't allow your power to go away. Whatever you're feeling, you should never neglect or negate, because somebody who you might aspire to be or might like has said something. You go, oh, well, they said that, so that must be right. No.
You have to come to an answer yourself in
Yeah.
anything that you do. When you're present to life, what you're present to is not just the intellectual, metaphysical, it's the spiritual and the emotional understanding of that experience has done for you, and having some self-awareness of the experience and going back and saying, where am I about that? Taking on board new knowledge and new light is about putting it in your system, funneling it in, filtering it through it, and saying, what truly resonates with me from a soul heart space? Will you connect with that emotion and that feeling? And then in your style, in your way, you go about putting that into your life, into your space in the way that works best for you, in the way that is your style, your energy, your flow. And when we take on board that learning, that's what I have learned for me, is understand that feeling and that emotion that's connected with it. Because in order for the universe to speak to you, I've learned that there is an emotional energy, there's a mental energy, there's a spiritual energy that will prompt you to get present to the message. When you get present to the message, then instead of saying, well, so and so does it this way, this way, this way, or perhaps I have to do it this way, this way, this way, what you're doing is you're negating your own intuition and instinct on how that works within you. So you allow that message to come in, you do it your style, your way, instinctively, intuitively, and then you roll it out how it works best for you. Otherwise, you're creating in your soul, in that space, a friction where you're of two minds, and you cannot serve two places at once. You have to say, I take on board this knowing, this understanding, this greater light and knowledge, And now I'm going to go put it out to the universe the way that I do it best. So you will get, if your intention is to take that on board, what is your intention to give it out? When you have clarity in your intention, there isn't any shift of disagreement within you of, oh my goodness, so-and-so said this goes this way, I don't know what to do. But what you do know is you've received a message. So receive the message, get your own clarity and intention on it, and then go put it out in your way. By doing that, you empower yourself to the next level of vibrations and grow into you and grow away from what it is that you needed to work on and grow into that new space. Then the excitement, the enthusiasm, the passion, the feel good comes along, and you're like, it could be a couple of days down the road and you're like, dang, I feel good. Boy, this feels amazing. And when you look back at yourself, you can see how you tracked through. Just remember, be you in that process. You can take on all the knowledge and light that you want, but do it your way, and then you will find that energy flow will shift up, and you'll be like, yeah, this feels good. I feel literally, you'll feel a flow, and like I've got my groove. I've got my, that is literally your energy flow shifting up another level. And I was like, yeah, go get excited about that. And that's just to speak into what I've learned based on what Glenn said. When you most recently, when you're taking on new knowledge, there's so much noise, and you have to find your voice. Where am I in all of this noise? Who am I authentically and genuinely in that noise? And when you receive that knowledge, you go to you. And you will find that honestly, seriously, you will find you in it, and your energy will bump up, and it will be such a marvelous experience to have, and worth the weight in gold. The gold being your growth, your heart, your soul, your love for who you are, your expansion beyond the human experience.
Boom, look at that.
Wow.
She's got a very words, that one, hasn't she? Like, but can I just say the internal part of what Michelle said there, that's a flow, right? And if people are listening going, okay, I get that, but what's the external? Let's use the book, for example. The energy around the book, it's getting bigger by the day, and it's not out till January, and we're in what? August. And the energy that's being exuded every time I hear from one of the co-authors going, oh my God, what's happening now? What's happening now? There's something happening now. Even to the point, I'm excited because I don't know what's happening next for it, because I work very, like, I know what I'm working at, but then when someone else comes forward as someone else, I'm like, holy shit. And that is basically showing me that the right people are a part of it.
Brilliantly said. And you're right, Glenn. After Michelle finished talking, I was like, how amazing is this? And my fearless friends, did you know that you signed up for an amazing masterclass on life and energy and passion for living? This is brilliant, and this is just always so much better than I personally expect. Glenn has a way of over-delivering constantly, and it just goes to show I am as amazed as he is that he just doesn't know what amazing things are coming up, because he has put all his soul and heart and passion and dedication in this amazing project. And I am always, and as I said at the beginning, I wake up, I am listening some of Glenn's messages, I am checking his life on Instagram or on Facebook, I'm checking his posts, and I wake up elevated the next day. So this, my fearless friends, is maybe your answer as to why am I so involved and eager to get you guys in volume number 2. Well, now you've only experienced just a tiny bit of what the Imperfectly Perfect campaign book series is. And I also want to ask Claire, because we have had this amazing talk on energy and challenges that we have overcome while having our story out there. Was it challenging for you to share your story when you were basically writing it in the process? And if you've had any challenges, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think what we're all saying is the energy, the synergy, exactly what I thought is what Glenn said. It was very cathartic. And I don't know. I think it was a process, and looking back, but I think it was really, like Michelle's saying, it was just that ability to look at everything I've overcome and understand why it's all had to happen the way it had to happen, to get me to where I am now. And the book really kind of found me. I think what we're saying is the things that happen, you know, when you talk about faith and you talk about spirituality, it's not some like revelation necessarily. It's just the next right step. Things just, you go, oh, well, I'm doing that now. And then you go at the end, oh, wow, isn't that crazy that that email came in my inbox? And I thought, oh, I'll do that. It's just, it all just kind of flows. But exactly, it's you know, it's physical, it's emotional. You feel it. I think you get that feeling, and learning to listen to the intuition. I think over the years, I've suppressed it so much and just thought, oh, what will people think? What will people say? What if I do that? What are they going to judge me on? And just, you know, like Michelle's saying, exactly, being present and being in the moment. And I get up every day and just, you know, take every moment by every moment. And what we're saying, I'm not perfect. I don't get it right all the time at all. But it's, if I feel myself spiraling or going back to old habits, it's just stopping myself. If I start overthinking or ruminating, just sort of stopping and asking myself, what's the truth here? What is the truth, or what is the story that I'm starting to spin in my mind? It's not going to serve me. So I just put, me and Glenn talked and just put my heart and soul into it, you know, just be as authentic as I could be. And I think we've all feel the same. We've all been super, super vulnerable. But like you say, people are going to see through the BS. If it's not true and it's not real, people are going to see that. And we're talking about, you know, leaving legacies and when we're gone. And it's certainly, Michelle, your story, it's not about what you've got. It's how you affect people and how you can inspire people and how people are going to, you know, talk about the person that we all are and what we all did in this book that we're creating. It truly is. It's, you have to pinch yourself, really. I had 2 years ago, I would never in a million years have guessed what I would be doing now. And like being on this incredible podcast, it's just something I would never have dreamed of. So if anyone is sat there thinking, well, I wonder if I should do that, without exception, do it, because you just don't know what's going to come out of it, whether it be opportunities or impacting another person, saving someone's life. We don't know what's going to happen, but I certainly know the universe, God, whoever you want to say, is with us all the time and guiding us. And it's just whether we listen and hear and follow our hearts.
Absolutely beautiful, Claire. Yeah, I had a feeling that I would get emotional, and as much as these beautiful emotions sometimes just get the best of it, we need to let them flow. One of my challenges was that if I share my story, then I'll seem maybe too vulnerable, because last year I had this I had an opportunity to again share my story through Glenn's amazing another project, and I felt terrified of doing that. And I was thinking, what will my parents think if I mention the word suicide or other addictions that I had? all sorts of destructive thoughts, because last year I was not in a position where I could process who I was. I was just kind of discovering myself, trying to see who's that girl now that when she was a little girl, she had all of these dreams, but did someone take them away? Has she decided that these dreams should be taken away? I was extremely confused. And as I began to work on myself, as I again had that amazing exercise with Glenn, the humbling exercise, which I recommend to everyone that you do this. You cannot do it alone. You need someone to guide you. Go to Glenn and you'll see what I talk about. I was basically in this position where I would imagine and I felt that I had everything that I could dream of. I had all the fame, the fortune, but it was not what I would need to feel happy, to feel fulfilled, because if I would not have my family with me, if I would not have the love in my heart that I would feel for them when they're here with me, it's pointless. And I would let, these thoughts of me being a successful person, someone that has got it all in terms of money and a name, and someone that is seen out there, a lot of ego, so much ego. But these walls were not real, because if you get to see what truly matters for you, it's not the fame, not the fortune, not the money. It's just pointless. It doesn't make any sense. You need to see that what's most important is the quality of the relationships in your life. And ever since that exercise 1 year and 1 month ago, I just felt such a brand new person. I basically reconnected with who I am, with what I need to do to be truly happy. And of course, material things are important. I love cars, I love to travel, and that's okay. But we need to set our priorities. We need to make sure that we have our heart nurtured and fulfilled with what truly matters to us. And Michelle, you said it so nicely that we need to find ourselves in the noise. I just love that so much, because it's a continuous, not struggle, it's a continuous way of us finding the best paths to just reconnect with ourselves. And I think it's happening on a daily basis. I think we just need to find out who we are every single day. It's not like a process that ends. It's such a beautiful ongoing road that we are in with this amazing book as well. And I wanted to ask you, Glenn, since I have asked each and every one of you for the struggles, and I think that this is so important, because I'm pretty sure that we have many people watching us and listening to us right now that feel mesmerized. Yes, I want to share my story, but this but could have so millions of reasons why not to, because of the ego. You know, Glenn, that this was such an important part for me, the ego. Can you please maybe share with us, Glenn, what would you say that this person that truly wants to have their story out there should focus on despite their ego, in order to let their story out there once and for all?
I would say initially it takes the removal of fear to actually speak about what they've been through. And that could be an immediate person, that could be contacting somebody that they don't know, like help, seeking help, just to open up and seeing the response. Because what we tell ourselves in our head a lot of the times is completely untrue to what people think. So when Claire was even saying, she may have thought about judgment if she ever shared a story. I know you said it before, I know a lot of us. However, Claire's response has been from some of the people that teach her, oh my God, I can't wait to get my hands on it, which is going to make people resonate with her even more. So what we tell our head, these old narratives that, oh, people are going to see us in this light, they're going to judge us. No, actually, they're going to see themselves in it, and they're going to understand the way that we are sometimes. And we're going to connect even better with deeper relationships, because at the end of the day, if anyone's watching this on the video or listening, look at 4 complete strangers. I'm from the UK, I live in Australia. There's Michelle from New Zealand, lives in the US. You're Romania. Claire's back in the UK. We didn't know each other. We were brought together in unison, and we've been connected by stories. And there's no superficial conversations happening. They're real conversations, which builds friendship, which builds connection. You're going to be there when they succeed. And you, like I said, you're going to be there when they need encouragement. So for anyone listening that's even contemplating this, before you do it, you've got to see what it feels right in you internally. You've got to feel it. If you want to jump on a call with me and find out more, I'm not going to be talking about the book. I'm going to be talking about you, or should I rather say I'm going to be listening. And that's why there's a process with an application form. I need to see how you write. People might go, oh, I need to write about it. Well, I can pick things up from people's words. And then there's an interview process, and I feel people. So when you cry, when that person cries, I'm a guy, but I feel the emotion. It's something that I've been gifted with, and I don't like it at times, because I can feel when people feel like they're drowned in, and it just wells up inside of you. And even on your camera, you can feel it. And it's not a nice feeling when you can feel someone's pain. So speak to people, write it down. That's why it sounds so cliche when you hear all these people talk about journaling. Journaling is cathartic, not for anybody else, but for you. You start seeing where you went wrong and what happens and the patterns. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to inspire people and create a legacy, I think Claire said it earlier, which again, inside teared me up a little bit, because if you think about it, you're long gone. You can save a life that someone picks up the book and reads Claire's, that's struggling with what she did, and then the cancer journey that Michelle went through, and somebody like from 10 years old to 20 odd, we're long gone, like 50 years. And there's this book that someone happens to pick up and reads Michelle's words, reads Claire's words. That's freaking incredible. So imagine putting yourself in that position and going, okay, it's scary to share my story, but I'm going to be part of a collective that are there to support me and guide me along the way. Then I'm going to share it. In 10, 20 years when I'm past, that little kid or that woman, that man is going to read my story, and I'm going to create a legacy. Because I don't know about you, when everyone finds faith, or faith finds them as it did with me, everyone always talks about how God's told them that they need to share their story. It's amazing how many conversations I've had, and I've had a message that I need to share my story. I need to write a book. I need to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, maybe if we drop the ego and we look at it and go, holy shit, we all need to share our story. So yeah, for me, if you're thinking about it, there's a reason you're thinking about it. It's laid on your spirit. There's something within you that needs to come out, whether it's in a book or whether it's speaking to somebody to get that professional help, or just opening up. But I know now, for knowing you for 1.5 years, knowing Michelle for 4 years, knowing Claire for less, doesn't matter. We speak to each other on voice notes like we've known each other all our life. Claire's coming over to Sydney, I think January now, so we're catching up. I'm coming over to LA. Michelle's going to be there. She's cooking bloody Thanksgiving. Do you know what I mean? It creates something that people have always longed for. As much as people pretend and they beat their chest. I used to be in fitness and thought I had so many friends, until I removed myself from the industry and realized I couldn't do anything, or realized that people were coming to me because I couldn't give them classes and I couldn't do this, that, and the other. And then it was the first time that I goes, oh my God, I don't have that many mates. And my wife used to say to me, you can count on 5 good people in your life. And I was like, that's BS. I was like, no, I've got loads of mates. Until you start seeing how you're used by people as well. It's the harshest lesson, but it's a blessing as well, because it gets you through to the right people who see you for you. And once people can see you, they don't want to know about a platform. They don't want to know about celebrities. They don't want to know about your podcast, Roxana. They want to know about you. And that's when you find your people. So if you're looking for that, then apply, or just go and speak to somebody.
Wow. This is again another mic drop moment. This is just brilliant. And you are right, Glenn. Again, you are right. You are right. This is the motto of the day. I am just enjoying this very deep conversation, no shallow conversations here. We are all people that are wanting to elevate our community, to elevate each other, to support each other. And this makes me so happy because I've never had this growing up. So it feels like home. It feels like such a beautiful family. And I cannot believe that it's more than an hour since we began talking. Oh my God, I could talk with these beautiful people hours on end. I want to thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Michelle, for being a part of this beautiful, blessed, and divine episode. Before we go, people are going to have all your details in the description. They are going to contact you. They will get their hands on this amazing book. And also they are going to find out more about being mentored by Glenn in November in Los Angeles, where I plan on being. Nothing is going to keep me away from being in this amazing man's energy, because as you said, Glenn, we are all over the world. We are connecting through the internet, through social media, voice messages, but thinking how cathartic my experience has been with you, with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, with this amazing book series. When I think about being live in your energy, oh my God. So people can hear maybe a few details about what this means, because by now I'm pretty sure everyone will want to line up to come and meet you live. Glenn, can you please tell us before we go a bit about this amazing mentoring opportunity, the ultimate mentoring opportunity, as I love to call it?
Well, that actually came very divinely as well. It was one of the co-authors who said, what would I be doing if I came to LA with you? And I was like, what do you mean? And they was like, well, what would I be doing? And I said, you wouldn't be doing anything. Why would you be coming to LA with me? I've got meetings, I've got networking, I've got events, I've got TV, all of this lined up. And it was through a friend who's very spiritual who was saying, why don't you give people the opportunity to come out and engage in the behind the scenes, have one-on-one mentoring with you? So we go through the mindset, we go through personal branding, we go through social media, we go into public relations and marketing and business development. You get to meet my network. So you get to sit there with some of these big names who will pour into you. You get to come to the event. You get to network with the right people and around the synergetic thing. People often say, how do you meet these people? My way is very unconventional, because people would say how Glenn's done it is completely wrong. I've met people at the gym. Claire can attest. You don't look at titles or professions in gym. You build connections. And people I build connections with, I wouldn't know that what they did as a title or profession. I can say to Claire now, you probably don't know what some of them do for jobs, do you? But you connect. You connect on a level. And people that I have, it's almost like, if you think about it, you sow seeds into people, you build a relationship. The campaign is attested to some of those relationships I built long before it. So people are going to understand my way, but they're also going to say, how does it feel for you? If I put you in an event and say, go on now, it's time for you to go network, come back and see how it feels. I remember the first time someone did that to me. I disappeared and I went to the bar and just stood there and people watched. And then I saw a guy stood on his own, went to talk to him, started saying, how do you do this? It was a big event in LA, and I digress talking, but it's a funny story. And it was my friend who's a casting director, and she was like networking, getting people's cards. And I was like, this is not me at all. And this is why I always say it's got to feel right, like Michelle said. So I stood at the side with this guy and I said to him, I said, how do you do this? And he was like, what? I might come to these events and like everyone's just like, give me a card and this, that, and the other. And I was like, it just seems so ingenuous. He was like, yeah, I've just got to come because I'm part of the band that's playing. I was like, oh, that's really cool. He said, yeah, and my fiance's coming and all this. And then we started talking about kids. Like I always talk about my family all the time. And then all of a sudden, he introduced me to his fiance who came over, who just happened to be the star of the show that evening. And then 2 top fashion designers came over talking. So I had all these people around me. And then when people see that I was on Amazon gowning out in Beverly Hills, That's because I decided to stand at the side and talk to somebody genuinely rather than try and pitch and get my card out. And from that, I still have conversations with Mei Lin and a partner and Patrick and all of the rest of them. And people can see it's not talking the talk. They can see the footage. They can see Amazon. They can see the relationships. So people get to learn that very unconventional way of learning, but you get thrown in the deep end. So yeah, you can go to my bio and look, but guys, with this, I want you all to go to Imperfectly Perfect _book series, because you're going to find out more about these amazing ladies and the rest of the co-authors. So as much as I mentor, I do everything. These are incredible. What they want to do, they want to inspire, get them on your shows, get them speaking in places, because what you can learn and what you've probably learned from them, like she said, Roxana, a life lesson and wisdom on this episode, make sure you do. Because as much as Roxana elevates me and says you need to do this, this, and this, to me, everyone's equal and everyone needs to grow at the same time. So Michelle's incredible. She's been doing some incredible projects. If you go to the website, imperfectlyperfectcampaign.org, that initial introduction was all Michelle 3 years ago. She felt it intuitively. She wrote it. What was it, Michelle? It was the top one. It was like, if this was your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, stop. How would you?
Yeah, it was about generations of, getting people in touch of what's immediately in front of them there now. If this was your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, someone in your family, you need to stop and think about that, because so often there's an inbreed of information, or rather say disinformation, about mental health, and it goes from one generation to the next. And the reason for me, I put that in there because I thought of that connectivity in my own life of how my family saw mental health, and we needed to bridge that gap and say, wait a minute, people, this isn't just about celebrities, this is about everyday people. It's the same message that Glenn keeps talking about, that it's not about your title, it's not about how much you make, because depression and mental illness has got nothing to do with any of those things. It arrives in people's places, in their homes, in their lives, irregardless of what you have. It is there. And disbanding that it's everyone struggles with it. It doesn't matter what your status in life is. It is there, and we needed to emotionally connect with everyday people, but also I think in our development of that, Glenn and I talked about how my thinking was, let's have celebrities talk about this. And there were things that Glenn's done for projects that we noted in that opening comment of, this is somebody who's talking about their depression, who's talking about their mental health, and they're a celebrity. Let's get it down to the grassroots of how everyone out there can identify with what this is, what this feels like. Let's create a feeling of emotion where they want to engage. And that's what I intuitively knew as far as copywriting this was, we had to get some emotion in there. We had to get some genuine realness, authenticity, so that people would engage and say, you know what, I get that. I understand that. I want to be a part of this. Yeah, that was one of the most amazing moments that we had. 2 o'clock in the morning, slugging away, and you're like, Michelle, you're supposed to be going to bed. I'm like, no, because I got to get this done. Why? Because this is way important. This is so important.
Wow.
And that's the energy.
And then we landed it in this history.
So yeah, connect with Michelle. If you're listening, and I can say anything, as much as Roxana, you push me and say, this is who's created this campaign. No, I always say it's testimony to God. We've all got that connection. Everyone needs to be humbled and everyone needs to grow together. So connect with Michelle, incredible copywriter, speaker. Connect with Claire. Claire don't even see what she's capable at the moment, but you need to get on the phone with Claire and she can teach you about health and fitness from the standpoint of mental fitness and what she's gone through and overcame it. And the community that she talks about often, she can help so many more people. Yourself, Roxana. And that's where it comes to that purpose. When I said I thought it was mental health awareness, no, hopefully it's to make people see themselves for them. And everybody has got that capability to make somebody else see. It's just we don't see ourselves as that person. So if you can get around the people that are going to do that, so Imperfectly Perfect _ book series, you can follow these amazing people's stories, and then you can connect with them separately. Join the mailing list and you can find out more about them. But yeah, if anyone's looking at it and they still have that old ego or narrative and just see something like the media when they say it's a celebrity campaign, well, of course, there's a lot of public figures because they draw attention and they're real people. How can we impact and get to people from all sides of the world? If I was to merely share my story, I'd impact my immediate circle. So how could I expand it and create a legacy to the world? Public profiles who are willing to step up and share their vulnerability, which must be 10 times harder than we put on ourselves because they're already under scrutiny. So for them to believe in me to share their stories and they didn't know me from Adam, I'm eternally grateful. And for where it's gone, I'm eternally grateful. But now we have the chance of impacting people from Asia, New Zealand, Brazil, Romania, every single place, because of these people willing to step forward. So when people look at it and go, oh, it's a celebrity sharing their story. Yeah, it's a celebrity sharing their story. Wow, they've got courage. Because could you imagine being in the public? I don't think people understand how much scrutiny someone in the public eye actually got. I've touched it a bit where, not me, but the platform where somebody's on and somebody will make judgment or somebody will reach out. And there's been a point where people have done that and then said, oh, why don't you just like direct everything to these big organizations? So now I've got to the place and goes, so do you own a business? What is it? A service or a product? Tell me, why don't you not do that and just draw all the awareness to these huge corporations? It's because something's been placed on your heart to make a difference to the world. Same as me, same as Claire, same as Michelle. So it's this whole thing about changing the narrative around judgment. Nobody's different through a human experience. Whether you've got a title or a profession, it does not matter. That's all it merely is. I rest my case.
This is brilliant again. Gosh, I'm loving that. And if I may end this beautiful divine session that has happened today, just surpassing all of my expectations. I knew this was good, but not this good, guys. This is amazing. 2 very important lessons that I learned from Glenn. You don't know what you don't know. You have no idea, this is the second lesson, what's happening behind someone else's scenes. You don't know the behind the scenes. Be kind, give them space to share their story, because at the end of the day, we are all the same. And I want to mention something that has beyond impressed me about Glenn, because again, he has been my life saver, my mind saver, my everything saver. And what I've received as value from Glenn is millions of dollars, priceless. This man just gives you his heart. He basically just wears his heart on his sleeves. This is how passionate and intense he is and dedicated about his community. And there are 12 million plus people in his community, people that he is touching the lives of on a regular. And it's growing because, as you said, Glenn, thanks to this beautiful project, the Imperfectly Perfect Campaign book series, it's coming to UK, it's coming to the US, to Asia, to Romania, everywhere. And we need to share our stories and just make an impact with our amazing beings as we are. We truly are divine and perfect in our imperfections. Glenn, Michelle, and Claire, it has been the ultimate honor to have you guys on today. I'm so happy and I'm so thankful, so blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
sharing your hearts with us today.
Back to you. Back to you. Thank you, Roxana, for everything you do.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, the same. Thank you. And thank you for the podcast. It's brilliant. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.